Welcome to the Rhonda Effect, the podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs like you harness the power of intuition and deepen your connection with spirit. I'm your host, Rhonda Arnott, and this is your space to stepping into your power and unleashing the extraordinary potential within you. In a world where understanding the unseen has never been more crucial, we're embracing the age of intuition and awakening to the profound guidance that lies just beneath the surface. Each week, we'll explore how you can strengthen your intuitive abilities, deepen more connection with spirit, and navigate your entrepreneurial journey with clarity and confidence. It's time to awaken to the possibilities, trust your inner wisdom, and transform your life and business from the inside out. Join me on the Rhonda Effect as we embark on this incredible journey together. So let's dive in and discover the power of intuition. Well, welcome back to the Rhonda Effect podcast. And if you are watching by YouTube, welcome back to the Rhonda Effect YouTube channel. I'm your host, Rhonda Arnott, and today we have very, very special guest with me, Andrea Crisp. Andrea is an intuitive empowerment coach, and Andrea and I go back, I don't know, maybe a couple years that we really got to know each other and in different networking events. But before we go on, I want Andrea to introduce herself and let my listeners and viewers know who she is and what she does. So Andrea, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Rhonda. It's really great to be here. As you said, I'm an intuitive empowerment coach. I love working with women and just really empowering them to step into their divine purpose and to really align with what Source Creator is telling them to do with their lives. And I think that so many of us get blocked by all sorts of things, all sorts of reasons.
Oh, yeah.
And when we reconnect with our intuition, but also reconnect with Source, that amazing things can happen. And so I'm in the business of empowering women to do that.
I love that. Absolutely love that, because that fits so well with what we're going to talk about. As you know, and my viewers and listeners may not know, I am a Christian. And when I'm not going to say I was heavily involved in the church, but I was involved in the church, and my gifts started to grow. And it was in that time when they were starting to come to the surface, and I was starting to understand that I was actually being held back by some of the churchgoers, and they did not give me the grace that they should have for me to be empowered with the gifts that God had given me. So what we're going to talk about today is just that, because I know a little bit of background about you, but my listeners don't. So share with my listeners and viewers a little bit of background, because I think everybody's going to be so like on the seat of their, well, whatever it is, in listening and viewing, because it is so interesting where you've come from to where you are now. So can you share that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I started off as a high school music teacher, but I went to a Christian university, and I really believed, very strongly that I was in full-time ministry since I was out of college, because I was in Christian schools, private schools, and I was also leading worship at a church. And about probably 5 or 6 years out of college, I really went into full-time ministry and did that alongside teaching and became a pastor.
Amazing.
And so for, probably, I don't know, I would say 20 years, which really feels like it dates me, but
me too. Whenever I say that to people, I've been in the executive role for like 25 years. I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
How is that possible?
I know.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. So I was in ministry doing both preaching and also music. I ran youth and young adult programs and was a youth and young adult pastor
Yep.
when typically that was a male role. Um,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely it was or is
and
still.
since yeah, it still is.
Yeah.
And really, even back then I was not married. I'm still not married, but it was just definitely not a traditional thing for a female to do, to be
Mhm.
in that role. And I left full-time ministry in 2014.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's been 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So fast forward to where you are today. So you were in the ministry and you were loving it. Was there
Yep.
anything that you felt while you were, in that time frame? I know what I felt, and
Yeah.
it was very confusing for me. But
Yeah.
what is it that you felt?
I've always felt a little bit like a fish out of water in the
Yeah.
sense that
Yeah.
I always pushed the boundaries a little bit, maybe, and for other people too much. Like they wanted me to stick within a certain parameter of how
Absolutely.
to do things.
Absolutely.
Um, I,
Absolutely.
I was either too prophetic, or I was not enough, or I
Yeah.
was too domineering, or I was too this, I was too that. And I always just felt like I was trying to always overcorrect
Okay.
what I
Okay.
was doing, but never really finding my own rhythm. The only time I really felt fully like in my own power was when I was leading worship. And
Mm,
I think that because it was just, I was really tuned into spirit,
absolutely.
and that was where I kind of really was thriving. But anything else, I felt like I was always getting reprimanded.
Oh, I know. I know. I
Yeah.
understand exactly what you're saying because
Yeah.
I too, I never led worship, but I was part of worship team. And when
Mhm.
you get into that flow and that connection,
Yeah.
you have that like that bond, that connection and that, direct line, and you get filled with words for people and things that just come out of your mouth that are just so profound and so life-changing for some people.
Yeah.
You don't want to hold back, right? And then you start to people say what they're going to say, and then next thing you know, you're shrinking back. But yeah, I get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent a majority of my career in ministry, even though I wanted to empower people and connect them to God, I felt like I was really almost having to like dim myself
Yes.
down.
Yes.
And I feel like that was also part of like what the teaching was, you weren't meant to be the person who would shine. It was,
Yeah.
all glory to God. Right. And I think that that got really confused for me, in the sense where I'm like, okay, well, are we supposed to have gifts? Are we not supposed to have gifts? Are we supposed to use them or not use them? And like, we're humans. So like, do we take a compliment or not take a compliment?
Right.
And I never really fully felt like I could just actually be myself and be okay with that. And also like really be in my gifting, because my gifting wasn't really celebrated.
Hmm.
So, and if it was celebrated too much, then somebody wanted to dim it down.
I hear you, sister. I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. So
Yeah.
where are you? Fast forward now, and where are you today? Because this is
Mhm.
this is good. I love I love it.
Well, I left ministry, like I said, in 2014. I ended up having an experience after ministry that was actually not great. So it was about 3 years that I was involved in a church and in a volunteer role, but it was ministerial, and it just was a really toxic environment.
Mm,
And from that point on, I really had to kind of go through a faith deconstruction and start questioning all sorts of things. That led me into a time where I really was like, I don't know what I believe anymore.
yeah.
But I really still felt this strong pull and connection to God,
Mhm.
to these gifts that I had, but I had no context now of how to use them, because I was like, well, I know how to use them here, but I don't know how to use them here. So I started to, really get involved with experimenting in spiritual modalities. But
Mm-hmm.
then of course I had this ticker tape of like, that's not good. You're not
That's
supposed to be
right.
doing that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
new
Oh yeah.
age. That's
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And so then I had to kind of like, really move through that as well and start to go, okay, what really, like, it was just always this constant, like, what am I meant to do here?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I finally had to really just be like, okay, God, it's me and you here. Like, I can't care anymore
Yeah.
what anybody else thinks, or, because if I'm meant to use these gifts, I need to use them to the fullest of my capability and really joyfully.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not doing that, then, what's the sense of it? So,
Right. I mean,
I've really had to get to that point.
I don't know if my listeners or viewers resonate, but give us a comment if this really resonates with you, because I know the women that I've spoken with, and there's a battle that goes on, and you're right. Like you actually have to sit down and go, why do I have these in me if I can't use them in the world?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's people out there that will always try and dim our lights. But it's when
Yes.
you come alongside people like yourself, people like me, who've walked this path, and we can say, you were meant for more. You're meant to have your light shine.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I mean, we're wise enough to know the line, right?
Hmm.
There's a line that you can cross the opposite way. But we're not. Like, we are shining our light and into a world that needs us.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love it that you have gone through. I don't love that you've gone through this experience, but it's through this experience that has made your purpose even more profound.
Yes. And now really, like, I understand the calling that I had
Mm-hmm.
and why it was so important. And I remember thinking back, years and years ago, I always felt this really strong connection that I was like a bridge. I was someone that would connect others to God.
Right.
And I would use music for that, and now I use other, modalities as well, but I still use music as well. But, and really it's not about me, but it's about being a vessel
That's right.
that can be used, but not also shrinking back, because the more I shrink back, the less I'm able to do,
That's right.
the more I, maybe keep somebody else from that experience because I'm not fully into, who I was created to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this really, like, it's a dance between really like leaning into your gifts, celebrating your own gifts, but also knowing that I'm also still just a vessel.
That's right. That's right.
But so it's kind of like, I don't have to be like throwing a bucket of water on me and be like, you're nobody,
Yeah. Yeah.
I get to be and I feel like God does celebrate me. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, I do know I'm just a piece of the puzzle here. Like, I'm not the whole puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if I can point others to God, then I can, I know that I've done what I'm meant to do here on the earth. So
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. It is so beautiful. You and I have worked together in the past. A couple of years ago, I think it was,
Yeah.
during I think I remember being up north, and I remember you not cracking me open, but pouring into me and allowing me to really step into who I'm meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most freeing yet scary thing ever, because now I am like, it was.
Look at you now.
I know. Like, you knew back then, you're like, ooh, that just pushed too far or what? But it wasn't. It was because I was like holding on so tight to an identity that wasn't even meant for me. It was other people's identity that they put on me. And you're like, girl, I see the light in you. I see you've got, and it was, oh my gosh, I got goosebumps. And you pushed me in love or with love. And it was it's such a beautiful experience to have you come alongside of me and walk me through this forest, through this path, and get to the other side.
Yeah. And you know what, Rhonda, I think there are so many women are at a point in their own lives where that's where they feel like, right? Like they're like, I can't do another, I don't know if it's midlife. I mean, I hear a lot of younger women are the same thing, but you get to this point, you're like, I can't keep doing life this way.
Yeah.
And nor do I want to.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
and it's like, we almost like really want to lean into who we are created to be. Why is our soul here on this earth right now?
Yeah. Yes.
And to make an impact in whatever way that is, like, and for everybody, it's going to be different. So, yeah.
That's right. It's such, I'm feeling like there's a big awakening happening
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And like you just said, they're beginning to open up and stepping into more
Mm-hmm.
that they were called to do. And there's nothing wrong with where they're at right at the moment. It's just that they're being called to go even further, and they need some guidance.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Andrea, this is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. I love what you're doing with women, with empowerment. And I absolutely love being able to witness your growth and it's not even a transformation. You've always had it. It's just now it's more, your light is way brighter, like way
Yeah.
brighter, and touching more parts of the world than ever before. And I am so honored to be able to witness that. And I'm
Thank
privileged,
you.
very privileged that you came alongside of me and
Yeah.
helped me through my bump.
Well, thank you. Can I just say too, just kind of going back to something you touched on right at the beginning, because I feel like it just came to me, but
Yes.
it's like, I think so often we've grown up conditioned in, whether it's like in a religious capacity, whether it's in a spiritual capacity or familial, something in our childhood, that this is the way it's supposed to be. This is, and so, a lot of those things are presupposed onto us. And then we're like, well, the church says this. Well, my community says this. Well, my coach says this. Well, my family member says this, right? And we just get so caught up
We do.
in, and like you said, like not feeling like grace is really extended to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it starts with extending that grace to ourselves.
Absolutely.
And, and knowing that everyone is imperfect anyways, and we can't rely on someone else to know what's best for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to walk that path.
Yeah.
And so as much as, like, I say, my light was dimmed, it was dimmed so that I would learn to know how to shine it.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the more you're uncovering and the more you are allowing yourself to be the woman that you were truly, truly meant to be, your light is getting bigger and brighter,
Yeah.
and bigger and brighter and bigger and brighter. And it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Rhonda.
You're welcome. So where can people find you? Give us, this will all be in the show notes, by the way, but where can people find you? And what do you have going on right now that maybe you can share with people?
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. Andrea Crisp Coach is probably the easiest place, which then you can find everything else. But I'm also the host of the Courage Cast, which is a podcast.
Yes.
And Rhonda, you would find her as a guest on there, actually. And so you can go ahead and listen to that. Of course, that's everywhere. And I also more recently have found myself on Insight Timer. So if you're into meditations and you love, I have some free meditations on Insight Timer, and I do chakra meditations, guided meditations on there. So if you're interested,
nice.
Yeah. So you can always find me there too. If you're like, oh, I really love meditation, and that's a great place for people to start. And I guide you, walk you through a process of clearing your chakras. So, so that's what I do. Yeah.
This is like opening up to more and more and more. And, I can feel that you're going to be back on talking about your chakra meditations. And because I remember you once saying, I have a feeling, or I have this sense of knowing I need to do more and more meditations. I just don't know where to put them.
Yeah.
And here they are.
Exactly. Yeah. And so and they're free. And so you can just go on. I always have more thoughts of what I want to put on there, but I
Yeah.
just haven't had the time yet to put them on. But there's the whole chakra, all of them are on there. So you can, from root all the way to crown. So
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be heading over. I'll make sure everything's in the show notes, but I'm gonna be heading over there and just start absorbing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks,
And
Rhonda.
I look forward to seeing a lot more brightness and a lot more expansion for you. I can feel it coming, and it's like, I know you've been on stage before, but I have a funny feeling that somebody's going to come and knock and say, will you start like being more and more on stage? So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I receive it.
Yeah, exactly. Take it, girl. No, it's really good. I can literally see you, but, yes. So thank you very much. And, I'm going over to, is it Insight you said?
Yeah. Insight Timer app.
Insight Timer app. I'm gonna look for that. I'm downloading it, and I'm gonna do some chakra meditations. This is amazing. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Rhonda.
Thank you for tuning into the Rhonda Effect. I'm Rhonda Arnott, and I am honored to have shared this journey with you today. As we wrap up this episode, remember that the power of intuition and the connection with spirit are always within you, guiding and empowering you. In this age of intuition, it's more important than ever to trust your inner wisdom and embrace the unseen forces that can propel you to new heights. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep listening to that inner voice that knows the way. If you found today's episode inspiring, I encourage you to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with all your friends who are ready to awaken their own intuitive powers. And if you're looking for more ways to deepen your connection with spirit and step into your full potential, head on over to Instagram, find me at rhonda.arnett, and send me a DM. Until then, stay tuned, stay connected, and remember, the magic of intuition is always at your fingertips. This is Rhonda Arnott, and you've been listening to The Rhonda Effect. See you next time.